turns out you can make more money as a wedding photographer than a
Yeah. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Success by Design with yours truly, Michael, and I have the amazing Charmi Peña Patel right here with me. And she is, if you haven't seen her work, absolutely phenomenal, just slaying the Southeast Asian wedding market all around the world. She is the Nikon ambassador. She's an Imagine talent. She is a phenomenal storyteller, and she has a non-traditional way of how she got into photography, and is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for you to hear her story and why and how she's successful in her business. Charmi, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Don't kill me, but my name is actually Charmi Patel Peña.
Patel, okay. Listen. She is not afraid to correct you as like you need to have thick skin with talking to Charmi, okay?
So everyone I've ever mentored would say you need to have thick skin. That's true.
Yes, Charmi Patel Peña. Got you. Yes, which makes sense because your husband is Latino, right?
My husband's Puerto Rican. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So Charmi, go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get started.
Hi, Charmi Patel Peña. I live in New Jersey with my husband, 2 kids. I really focus on South Asian weddings. It wasn't intentional. It just kind of worked out that way, but I love them so much. It's just so much energy and excitement. I have a couple of new things in the works. Might be a New Yorker by the time this airs for everybody, and I'm cooking a couple other things photography related. We'll see.
Okay, and you were originally from New York, weren't you?
Well, when I was born, and then there were things, and my mom moved us to New Jersey.
Got you. Okay, so like kind of like this is like full circle for you, essentially.
Well, yeah, but this time I'd get to be a Manhattanite instead of from Queens.
Understood. Got it. So I would love for you to tell us how did you get started in the industry? I know enough about you to know like it's a little non-traditional. So yeah, fill us in how you got started and what led you on this path of just being an amazing storyteller.
So I'm the daughter of immigrants, and so I went to college and got 2 degrees in 4 years, not one, because why would I just get one like a normal person? Economics and information technology. And I really thought if I took a job in that field that I might die, because being on the inside of a cubicle, that sounds terrible to me. I'm not a person who would thrive in that situation. And so I got married, and my husband bought me a camera on our wedding day as a gift. It was a DSLR. And I just didn't even know what to do with it. So I shoved it in the back of my closet and was like, I got a job hunt. I don't know. And I was a terrible stay-at-home wife because I only now have learned to love cooking 17 years later. and I was bored because I am a person who likes to be active and do things. And so I was driving my husband nuts. He came home and brought me Brian Peterson's Understanding Exposure one day and was like, would you like learn to use your camera? Like do something with your life. And so I started using that book, and me and the DSLR became besties that day. And literally within weeks, somebody was like, hey, I have newborn babies. Do you want to come photograph them? And I was like, oh, I mean, first I took photos of a friend, and then her friends were the ones that called me with the newborn babies. And I was like, I'm only going to do portraits. I had just stopped being a bride. So I didn't want to do weddings because I was like, brides are crazy. I was crazy. And that's it. I photographed some like kids for maybe like 2-3 months, and then somebody saw the newborn twins that I photographed, and she was like, come shoot my wedding. And I was like, I don't do that. She was like, okay, well, I'll do my engagement photos. So I did her engagement photos, and I was so excited to shoot them that I actually, and this is before Imagine, and this is before everything, this is before Lightroom, or at least before Lightroom was in my life. I edited those photos the day I shot them and sent them to her. And she was like, if you don't shoot my wedding, I'm going to come to your house. So I shot her wedding, and it was published in The Knot. And
oh, wow.
And that was my first wedding. And things just kind of took off from there. It's always just been word of mouth for me. And I think that I understand I have a big personality and my images have my personality, I hope. And that seems to register.
I love it. And so I'm curious because you talked about being from a more traditional kind of family background. And so where did the artistry, because your husband could have given you anything, right? So
Yeah.
where did that artistry, that eye, like come in? Because you can study, but if you don't have that eye, then it won't be there.
So I think both my parents are doctors. My sister is a pharmacist, and my brother was a banker. And both of them are younger than me, though. But they all, have done the traditional path. But if you look at their lives, my dad is so creative. If I show him anything, if I'm like, Dad, I love this cabinet and I want it, but like I just can't. He's like, oh, we can make that. We can make it. We can make it better. Um, my mom has always been super artistic, and that's the thing is they just took their artistry and made it hobbies. And my
Gotcha.
sister, same, like super creative. She used to draw when she was a kid, like amazing stuff. But I do come from a traditional background. Like you don't cross the ocean to give your kids a better life and then, think that they're going to go into the service industry of sorts and make good money, you know?
Yeah.
Um and so I think that's where the skepticism from them would come
Hmm.
from in the beginning of like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
crazy. Turns out you can make more money as a wedding photographer than a doctor.
Yeah, I love it. So for those people who are listening that have parents that are maybe come from are not American, right? Not born in America
Yeah.
or a traditional background, or like you have to go into this industry. What advice do you have for them to stand out on their own? Because you did it. Like you are the poster child of you stood in your own voice and said, "Mom and Dad, this is what I'm doing," and that's not easy for people.
No. Um, I will I will say it helped that I was married, right? They're traditional and they were kind of a little part of them was like, well, she's got a backup plan. Um, I think it's good to kind of have your own backup plan too, and but then prove yourself. I had those degrees if I really needed them. I could have taken a boring job to feed the kids that I didn't have yet, but you know, and I was also and this maybe drove my parents a little crazy, but I was like, I'll work at Starbucks if I have to. Like I'll go to ShopRite and get a job. Like I don't have pride about making money. It's not the pride that was the deal breaker when it came to jobs for me. It was, am I going to be happy doing this as a career? And so if
I
I had to
love
take
it.
other jobs to tide me over, then there was no pride involved in like, I remember in the beginning of my career when I started the first year, I took like temp jobs in the city and just anything to bring in money so that I could focus on my business for the most part. And so for in that way, I think that my parents were always like, well, she's taking temp jobs. Like she's not
Yeah.
making zero hours. She's got to eat. So I think that was the big thing. Just put aside any sort of you have to be comfortable in yourself to put aside pride about what you're doing
Mhm. Mhm.
and know that it's a long game, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna start a business and start shooting and overnight be making $400,000.
Yeah.
Have to work up to that, but you still got to pay the bills in the meantime. And if that means that you have to do odd jobs and temp jobs and be a barista, then that's what you got to do.
Mhm. Mhm. I love it. I love it. Awesome. So I know you've been doing this for over a decade right now.
Almost
And
seven. I think this will be my 16th or 17th.
16th, oh, you are a G in the game. So I would love for you to tell us, like, if you have like a most memorable or challenging photo shoot that you overcame, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
Oh boy. Some of these stories, I always think like, should I be sharing some of these stories? I don't know if I'm ready. Um,
Change their name. They will never know.
Man, let me tell you, as soon as I say what happened, they will know. Um, I will try to keep it vague. One recurring theme in my career has been that there are a subset of men who are very uncomfortable with me being in charge of things. And
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a man or a woman on a wedding day, your photographer sometimes even takes more of a lead than your wedding planner. That's
Yeah.
just reality of the flow of a wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had men get upset with me for daring to ask them to stand next to a particular bridesmaid as if I should know everyone's history.
Yeah.
Um, I have had men get upset when I ask them to move to the side so they're not constantly poking me. Um, I I've had people, I've had men get very upset over very little things. And that's just something I've had to learn to manage. And I would say,
Mm-hmm.
my brother has a lot of restaurants and we always talk like service industry stuff. And sometimes I'm surprised I've survived this long because I'm not necessarily the person who can like take an angry customer and smile at them. I am originally from Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I learned that the best way for me to manage that kind of aggressive behavior is to not shrink myself and to actually
Mm.
take up more space and make it clear that like I'm here, I have a job to do, and you're not going to push me around so I can't do it. Like
Yeah.
I'm here at the couple's behest. I'm here for I already got paid
Yeah.
money no matter what. So you can either let me do my job or you can answer to the couple. I'm also not the person who's like, I don't want to bring it to the couple. I don't want to bring the couple small things, but I will absolutely bring to the couple if someone is making me feel unsafe or uncomfortable because
Yeah.
that's not what I signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's an unfortunate recurring theme, but I've definitely found ways to manage myself around it as needed.
Yeah. And I think that's an inspiration for like anybody, right? Because when I see you and when I hang out with you, you do have a big presence and a big like Charmy's in the room. Like I might like it could be a crowd full of people and I was like, I know your voice. I know she's in the room and I know she's like, I'm here. What do you need to know? How can I help you? And I love that you have walked into that because I know a little bit about the Southeast Asian culture and just the misogyny that goes on and just all the things and dealing with weddings and people and family dynamics. And I think the way that you handle it is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I will say misogyny seems to permeate cross-culturally
Yes,
everywhere,
yes.
all over the place. Um, but there are special dynamics of hospitality at work in different cultures, and you wanna handle it in a way that lets you get the job done and causes not as much. Honestly, if I was a regular guest and people spoke to me this way, I'd fuss. I'd
Yeah.
fuss bigger. Um, but standing my ground and making it clear that like I'm not going anywhere seems to be a mostly working strategy.
Yeah. I love it. So I know you said you've been doing this for almost 17 years and you essentially hit the ground like running full speed, and you are wildly successful today. So how has using systems and softwares like Fundy help aid in your success to where you are now?
uh it's life altering. So when I first started shooting weddings, I used to shoot the weddings and then I used to edit them in Adobe Raw. Yeah. Yeah, that was before Lightroom came into my life.
Mm-hmm.
Used to edit them in Adobe Raw, and it would take me a couple of days to get through everything. Culling was really painful back then. And then when it was album time, I think my first album, I I literally designed in Photoshop. And imagine these are multi-day Indian weddings. That was torture. I
Yeah,
hate
like thousands of pictures.
it. It was terrible. And then like making sure that every image is like the right, same, identical height and the
Mm-hmm.
difference. And like, oh my God, I'm having like PTSD right now. It's really bad. And then, in the next iteration of whatever my career turned to next, I went to Lightroom and then I went to um InDesign, right? And like InDesign made it a little bit easier and I got templates and whatever, but still was like very clunky. And at the time I was still using like paper PDFs for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Paper and PDFs. And so that was also like a painful, and I was having babies at the time and like, oh my God.
Just life is life in right now.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but, but then I was finally at Photo Mechanic, Lightroom, and then Fundy. And Fundy, and I use a CRM also, so no more paper contracts.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but moving to like that streamlining of, okay, culling is streamlined, okay, editing is streamlined, okay, album design is brainless. Like
Yeah.
I don't I pick out my favorites, I toss them in, it makes itself an album half the time. I make a couple of adjustments and then we're good. And I even at this point I have somebody who works for me who does my albums for me. And so she takes my images, she uses Fundy live on Zoom with clients, and she makes their changes in real time so they can see it, approve it, pick the cover, and then they're done. And so, and occasionally I'll have to do it as well. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy that, like, when you're away from a software or from something you're doing for a couple years,
Yeah.
you return to it and you're like, oh shit, I gotta learn.
Like, where's this button to do this thing?
Yeah. Um, every now and then, like, if I have to do an album myself because we're on a timeline or she's on vacation or whatever, it's still painless. And
Yeah.
that is a priceless, for me, in the current iteration of my life, I cull the same day I shoot. And I do that photo mechanic like this. Even if I get home at 11:30, I download photos while I'm in the shower, get out. My husband gives me some food. We turn on some Schitt's Creek and I call that night. I upload
Wait,
it.
you call to Schitt's Creek?
Yeah.
I was like, how can you pay attention to calling and watching Schitt's Creek at the same time?
Well, if you've watched Schitt's Creek 17
Well,
times,
there you go. There you
then
go.
you'll need to watch it. Yeah.
Understood.
Uh, I'm definitely on like my 17th like circle. Yeah. No. Everybody in this family has all the lines memorized. My
Oh,
boys
wow.
walk around the house just being like, I'll be watching on TV and they'll keep saying the lines before David says the line, and I'm like, can you just let them talk?
I love
So
it.
Schitt's Creek, I upload to Imagine, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, load my previews, export, and then I send my images to Leah on Monday, and Leah will knock out the album in the next 2 weeks. And if I have to do it, then
Mm-hmm.
then it'll be done in the next 2 weeks, and then I'm done. So for me, a wedding can happen on April 1st, and by April 20th, if the client booked their appointment in a timely fashion, I can move on with my life. And of
That's
all of those
amazing.
days, I maybe worked between April 1st and April 20th, I worked like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like that's like a masterclass on systems and how to not only have systems in your business, but have systems in your life. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about, like, okay, I'm calling taking a shower, getting out, hitting like outsourcing my editing, watching Stitch Creek, setting out my album. Like, like that healthy balance of like I still want to live and spend time with my children and run a business at the same time. I love it.
Yes, that is 100%. Anything I don't want to do, I will find a way to automate or outsource, and that includes dishes. I don't do.
I love it. I love it. Do you have a favorite feature in Fundy that like just makes your life easier or makes you more money?
I makes my life easier. I like that I can like group images and then auto design. That to
Mm-hmm.
me is like, I know that seems like it couldn't possibly save you that much time if you just like clicked and drag, but it does. It saves you so much time. It's so great.
Yeah,
It's definitely
awesome.
auto design is definitely my favorite.
I love it. So I know you're aware that Fundy has come out with another software to make
Yes.
people's lives like absolutely amazing. It's called the Social Design app. Like I know you've seen it and you played around with it.
Yeah.
How do you see it entering in your life and managing your social media, especially in a space where you're like, you know what, I'm outsourcing a whole bunch of stuff because I want to sit and relax with my family. What does that look like for you?
So one of the reasons I haven't used it is because I have very strict boundaries so far. I haven't like actively used it during a wedding. I have really strict boundaries about working and not working, which is helpful. And I've been in not working mode and I'm just now going back to wedding mode. But my thought is, I think that I'm going to have assistants kind of use it on the wedding day. And then post wedding, I pick out all my favorites and throw them on my phone always. And so I think it'll be really helpful to me to just like kind of manage. I've always been a little bit lazy about just putting up like, here's a photo,
Yeah.
just one. No, sorry, I'm busy.
I
Um,
mean, your work is amazing, so you just putting out one photo is fine too, right?
oh, thank you. But I think it'll help me storytell a little bit better and like
Hmm.
not just do like the here's my favorite and like because part of that is that like I'm being a bum, right? Like and if anything can help me make things pretty and not be a bum, then I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So I want to go into a little more personal questions about you and your business. Who has been your greatest influence or mentor in the industry, and what valuable lessons have you learned from them?
Ooh, I don't know the answer to this. There's just it's not that there's not been anybody. It's more that there's just there's never been like a single person for me. It's always
Hmm.
been like I feel like you always need something different at a different stage in your career.
Yeah.
So when I was starting and I was like, really don't want to shoot this wedding. This girl's crazy. Why does she want me to do this?
Hmm.
My wedding photographer, Marie LeBans, took me under her wing and was like, you want to carry my bags? I was like, sure. She's like, here's a camera. You can shoot with it. And for like the first three weddings, I didn't even take one picture. She's like, you didn't even take one picture. I was like, what? Because I didn't want her to judge me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but eventually I started shooting for her. I second shot for her. And like, she just taught me a lot about commanding a room.
Hmm.
And um, because I think people underestimate how much of a wedding photography specifically, is it really important that your work is good? Absolutely. But your people skills, like you need to be able to make someone smile about you shanking them.
Yeah. I'm stealing that. Like, you need to make someone smile about you shanking them. Like, that is amazing.
That's because no one's comfortable. They're not comfortable in front of the
Hmm.
camera, but you need to get them there, right? And you need
Yeah.
really quickly. Like this is not. We can't have therapy. We literally just need to
Hmm.
get to it. So, I mean, she taught me a lot about that, and then I went to a Jerry Eunice workshop when like years before I was a Nikon ambassador, and
Hmm.
now we're like good friends and both Nikon ambassadors, and life is funny that way. But Jerry, Jerry taught me this one line that has been so helpful to me in album design and album sales. And so we pre-design at
Hmm.
company. So like whether it's me or Leah, we design an album that we think needs to be delivered to
Yeah.
people and then they can cut down if they want to. But the goal is to make it hard, right?
Of
Like
course.
so um Jerry said something, the people said something to him like, oh, it's too many pages. And I used to just not have a response to that. I used to feel awkward, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to sell them more than they want to buy. No. Anyway, he says to them, and now I say something similar. He basically says something like, sorry, I did such a great job and made your life better. I mean, he's Australian and he can like, and he's hot, so he can like
Yeah.
say that in like that smooth, hot
Yeah.
Australian way. And so I can't do exactly
But that's real.
yeah, but I came up with like my version of like, sorry, I did a great job. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like, so, so I took that from him, and I think for me, there's never been like this single person that I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you. It's
Mm-hmm.
always been like nuggets, and
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think a lot of people go to a workshop or class thinking like, I'm going to learn it all, and I'm good. And I think because we're also different as artists and business people and markets and all of that, I think it's important that you have the ability to go to anything and be like, I just need to walk away with a nugget. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, and especially because, I'm in the album world and I sell a lot of albums, and those challenging questions happen all the time. Like, well, do I really need 80 pages? Do I really need this? And so having like taking nuggets of how to respond to those things from just world class photographers
Yeah.
are absolutely amazing. So I'm glad that you were able to share that. So I have a final question for you, and then we're going to enter the rapid
Oh, boy.
fire phase,
Okay.
which is like my favorite. So the final question is: what skills or qualities do you think are essential for success in this field?
You got to find a way to be a people person. You gotta. It just goes back to what I said about making people smile while you shake them. You got to find a way to be a people person. And I genuinely believe just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't be a people person. If anything, sometimes introverts are better people persons because they don't do superficial talk. They go deep, they go fast, and um, so got to find a way to be a people person. I think I think being a problem solver is
Mm,
huge. Just having a problem solving mindset, not necessarily like only technical. I mean, in general, like I have sewed veils into brides' heads before
yeah,
because the comb broke and we're screwed, but we don't have to be because I'm a problem solver. And do you have a needle and a thread? Because I got you. Um, and people remember that. People remember that about you. Like I I don't know why, but I shot a wedding once in Mexico and the makeup artist and the bride forgot their lash glue. Ask me why I kept lash glue in my camera bag. There was lash glue in my camera bag and I saved the day because the look was about the smoky eyes.
yeah, yeah.
Just being a problem solver, like it leaves such an impression for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there are people who are like, "Oh, it's not my circus. I'm going to stand in the back." But I would say that being a visible problem solver has helped my word of mouth exponentially.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. So my favorite part is the rapid fire round.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. Some will be photography related, some won't. So just the first thing that comes to your mind. First one: are you team pets or no pets?
Now I'm team pets.
With the eye roll. I love it. What is your favorite lens?
35 1.4, but if there was a 1.2, I would 35 1.8, but if there was a 1.4 or 1.2, I'd want that.
Perfect. Um, do you like to travel to the beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach. Favorite snack while working?
Oreos. Anything with candy and sugar.
I love it. Best outfit to shoot in?
I wear black joggers and a crop top.
Awesome. If you could win an Olympic gold medal, what would it be in?
Spreadsheets.
I love it. She's like, I'm gonna be at the top telling you what the score is.
Yeah.
I love it. What print product makes you the most money?
Albums, hands down.
And two more. Favorite TV show to watch as a child?
As a child, Family
As a
Matters.
child. Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And then the last one is dream shoot location.
Ooh, it was Barcelona, but we're shooting there in a couple weeks, so I gotta get a new one. Um, I don't know. I think Italy somewhere. I've already done Italy too. No, hold on. Oh, I know.
Okay.
India.
And you've
100%
never
Udaipur. Haven't shot there.
really? That's surprising.
Yeah, yeah, haven't shot there.
Okay. You know what? I would have never guessed that because I photograph a lot of weddings who they have a wedding in America and then they have another wedding in India. And I was like, they probably fly Charlie back to India too.
Oh, I mean, India is just so full of India's wedding industry has changed so much in the last 10
Mm-hmm.
years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe if somebody took me many years ago, I would have understood. And I still hope they take me for me.
Yes.
But 100% their wedding industry has just evolved so much in the last 10 years. There's so many people there that I look up to that I'm like, oh my God, your work is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, but hopefully eventually someone will take me there.
Okay, awesome. I love it. So you heard it first. Like, take Charmy to India. She will make your wedding day fantastic. So, Charmy, I want to give you the last few minutes to just plug anything that you would like to. Tell people how they can find you, how they can work with you, how they can mentor with you if you offer that. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
So you can find me at charmipena.com, and there's information on there on mentoring and scheduling. I will have a wedding workshop later this year, September. It's not available for signups yet, but we're getting there. It'll be in Princeton, New Jersey. Um, Likely it'll be in Princeton, New Jersey. There is a small possibility it will be in Manhattan. Um, but that wedding workshop will literally go through everything from business to shooting. We're gonna do hands-on shooting all day. So one of the reasons to have it at my home in Princeton is that my backyard is a fascinating place to shoot at 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., sunset. Like it kind of has everything and all the challenges that you could come to on a wedding day. And practicing in crappy situations is a great way to become a problem solver when it comes to lighting. Um, but everything we're going to talk about: business, albums, lighting, shooting, how I talk to people on their first call, how I send email, just everything. It's going to be a top to bottom 3 days. So working on that.
Awesome.
I have an Imagine talent profile. So if you like my editing, we don't sell actions or presets anymore. You can run your images through AI and have them finish like me. And starting today, if you use Imagine and use my preset, and you're like, man, her preset's great, but her blacks are too black, you will be able to adjust just that portion of my preset for yourself. And so you'll still be able to keep everything, but you'll be able to tweak it just a tiny bit. And today is probably not the day this is airing. It should be available to everybody by the time it airs. So that's it. You can find me on my website, and I'll be kind of all over the place. I'm going to be hosting a conference in Canada in a week. Called True North. I highly recommend it. It's great at the beginning of the season. If you don't go this year, go next year. Um, and I'll be at a bunch more places, but you'll just have to watch my website.
I love it. I love it. Charmy, you've been absolutely amazing. So for the people who are listening, like you need to rewatch this multiple times because Charmy is just a textbook definition of how to work smarter, not harder, and be able to make more money and be more present for your family by involving systems and also what it's like to be a people person. Because in the wedding industry, we all think we're people until we run into those roadblocks and realize we're really not. So, Charmy, I just want to thank you for just giving of your time and your knowledge and your wisdom to everyone. Thank you very much. And I look forward to chatting with you again.
Thanks.